Hi guys. All okay with sound? Hopefully everything is okay. So we'll go through this relatively quickly. I know there are a few of my friends online that are going to make fun, so thank you very much for joining me and so I can make some eye contact as well from that perspective. Uh, as the amazing Gabby said, I'm Bogdan. I'm co-founder at AMP, and we're going to talk today about, that's in the corner, about new revenue streams and the shift from square meter to smart visual content, because that's my favorite subject. Just to set up the rules, what we're going to talk about today is about revenue. First of all, because at the end of the day, we all have to make money. Everybody's in it more or less for the cash. We are also going to talk about smart content, way more in depth than this slide. And it's not about the ugly black holes that you go in when you go on YouTube or Instagram or anything like that. It's more about personalization, how every single individual has a different approach to how they engage with everything, not just content. And we're going to talk about Kevin Bacon because it's fun and why not? We're going to set some rules for the next 29 minutes. Technically speaking, I was almost spot on. I don't know if you can see this, but we always talk about content, and smart content is not a magic wand, so I'm not going to give you the ultimate solution to make everything work in hybrid and digital and everybody's going to be happy. We will focus mainly on B2B shows because B2C is more complex and this is covered more in marketing, in general marketing. Also, we are going to talk about revenue generally because every B2B show has a different approach to how they work and how they do things and what their target audience. So you cannot compare a Eventec Live to Vita Foods for Informa, for example. So we can go into details afterwards if you want to. We are going to definitely talk about content, and Abby knows me for some time, so I've never stopped talking about that, just in case. We are also going to go on the premise that some people are debating now, which I find mind-blowing, that we are all going to go back to physical, we are going to ignore digital, we all are going to travel for free, nobody's going to ask us for paperwork at borders and everything else, and happy days will go back. And also Kevin Bacon has not endorsed this show, and I'm sorry, Abby, but he's not going to make an appearance. I tried my best, but he's not going to be there. Anyway. Shall we go there? So, problem. I like pitching startups. So the problem is that the whole event industry, specifically around exhibitions, are focused on the square meter. Oh, excellent. We're updating. So, at least it's not Windows, it's Mac, so it's going to go very quickly. So the whole industry is really focused on the square meter. Woofy, which I absolutely love. So hi, Nick, if you're watching. Hey, Magic. Is actually having their payments in terms of membership based on the square meters for venues. If you look at all the amazing research that they do, they usually start, this country has about 10,000 square meters of exhibitions. That means that they are good, bad, they're going to go do there and there. So everything is focused there. We also define strategy based on square meters. You want to grow the show, find a bigger venue, get the next hall, get everything around that from that perspective. And we also define revenue on square meters because you define the KPIs, and we'll go on the next slide and we'll go into how we define actually revenue around square meters and how we define the sales strategy around that, how many salespeople we hire, how much money we want to charge for that. In the meantime, we'll go back to Kevin Bacon. So there is a game called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. That game is basically says that every living actor currently can be linked to Kevin Bacon in up to 6 moves. This is the cast of Lost. So you can see I'm giving away my personal favorites from Star Wars to this. And you can pick anything from that perspective. So you can pick Jürgen Kim, and you'll know that she worked in Iron Palmy with Kim Delgado, which worked in Patriot Games with Kevin Bacon. That's the principle. Every single actor is linked to one key individual. And as you can probably imagine, that key individual for us is the square meter. So we'll try to play that game with the main contributors to the revenue for an exhibition. Again, this is more general, is not necessarily targeting a specific event, so this will vary from event to event, but usually you'll have the attendees who will buy some tickets and pay you some money. You'll have the exhibitors, again, you'll get some revenue from them, and you'll have the sponsors. And if we apply the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, we can do this. And we can play around a little bit with the fact that the easiest one is exhibitors. Exhibitors buy stands. Stands are basically sold by square meters. You're at the square meter point. You can go to attendees. You can go to ticket sales. You've got a very small venue where you can only fit 6 people. You're definitely not going to sell more than 6 tickets. It doesn't mean that you're actually going to fill the room, but you're definitely not going to sell 400 tickets in a small hall. You can go a little bit more in there. So you can go exhibitors want sales lead. If you have a small hall, you go back to ticket sales. So the bigger the hall, the more likely you're going to actually sell some tickets, get some attendees, and you're back to the square meter. Sponsors in the same type. You've got, they want to do business partnership because it's hidden here and nobody can see it. The bigger the hall, the more exhibitors they have, the more conversation they're going to have, the more business partnership they're going to go. So again, you have the square meter that goes at the core of every conversation you have about revenue, regardless how you take it. Just to add a little bit of idea, it's not alone. I know that the prices of a sponsorship is depending on how good the brand is. So if I do an event tomorrow morning about event technology, definitely I'm going to sell less sponsorship way cheaper than Adam does with Eventec Live because he's built his brand. But again, not the magic wand. The idea is that everything comes back at some point to the square meter. So you can do the same thing again with attendees. You go to education, there to see some speakers like I'm here on the stage today. The more space you have more stages, you have the opportunity to bring more speakers and more attendees will come and so on. Moving forward is the question, why change? It worked. We are here because the event industry is huge. You had multiple generations doing this. They made money out of it. People are meeting. We've got at least 3 people in the audience here. It works. It's fantastic. Well, the first thing is that when you define an event, at the core of the event, you have 2 elements. One is time and the other one is space. And I know you cannot see my lovely cutout here on the corner, but time and space means that an event happens on Monday from 3 to 5 at the brewery. That's how you define an event. It can be 3 days, it can be 5 days, but it had that core element that you always defined it. So for example, Eventec Live 2019 London, happy days, 2 days, same venue, amazing people, 16 hours of live content, 5 stages. That means that roughly 16 hours of content overall. We were fun, drinks afterwards, 2 days. November comes, we always go to Eventec Live. Now, I don't know if you remember last year, things changed slightly, and we couldn't come to Eventec Live physical. But we always chatted and we always talked. So time and space expanded drastically. First of all, Eventec Live 2021 is 5 days. It's not just in one location. John from Vienna and ShockLogic is attending live. James from Dubai is coming live and doing event talks. People from US are joining us. You can have people from Brazil. You've completely destroyed the space concept. And the time bit, because I know you know Adam likes content and he's going to put me on demand, so I live forever until you pull the plug from the internet and we all die and that's it. But you went from 2 days to a physical event to basically 365 days of interactions. Go to the next one. Yes. Bit of a rant. The problem with that is that when you put in your calendar that you're going to Eventec Live, you put November 4th and 5th. If you go back, when you go to Eventec Live 365, I don't know how to, I've actually tried to invite somebody to a meeting that lasts 365 days. You can't physically. There is no software, maybe next startup will sort that out. And that means that we need to understand how attendees actually spend, what's the most important resource and how we can curate that. So based on research from Ufi and Adam and everything else, attendees usually do networking, and they mainly focus on the live events dates because this is where we talk. They do, sorry, I forgot to delete that, so it's a little preview. They do visit stands, again, mainly on live, because online we know behavior, buying patterns have changed. You Google, you go online, you go on LinkedIn, you go on all of that searches, so you expand your search, and of course, you watch content. But that watching content based on the data that we have is usually happens in digital, because in physical, I would go, I would talk to Abby, have a coffee, and not have time to watch everything. So I would watch it on demand and go to digital. But as you've heard me talk, say, a couple of times today, as in the last 2 minutes, the most important resource attendees have is time. So we are fighting for their time, because they need time to go and network. They need time to physically spend on there. They physically have to watch something. Regardless if it's 5 minutes or not, it's time. And the other problem that we face is that we think we are unique. There are always going to be other things competing for it. And I know I'm not fat, but big, and you cannot see this corner. So there are always going to be other shows. We are not married to attendees. They are always going to be targeted by other shows. They have brands, which now, we have brands that now run their own events, mini events in the same industry, same vertical. So they are competing with their time. Again, I don't know if you remember 50 million years ago in May 2020, when you had webinars every single second of the day. So if you wanted to watch webinars, that was the party. Of course, you've got B2C content, because why not? You have a phone, you have Instagram, you have hopefully Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and not TikTok, please, because I have a daughter and I know how that is. And you've got family, so that time, if you manage to get that time, is amazing. So how can you add value to them? Usually, my theory is that you need to save their time. You need to give them a chance and an opportunity to use technology, everything that we have here, to save time. And my favorite word is curate, because you curate networking, you curate meetings, you help them not to go through 200 people that are completely irrelevant, and help them curate time, so you have the networking. You help them for booths. Look, this, you're interested in exhibitions, you're interested in that, talk to these guys. You're a platform. Don't go showing events case to ShockLogic, because they are friends, but from a business perspective, no. So curation is extremely important, and saving time, again, very, very important. Revenue models, because that's what we're here to talk about, and based on everything that we've talked, what are the new revenue models? Of course, you have square meters, because we've talked at the beginning that we're going to have a hybrid model. So you always have the square meter. The next one is data. I know it's not a new thing, it's an old thing, but it's not, we just had VSEF, which I strongly recommend to look at it, because data is not correctly used so far. So we still have a lot of value to come out of data and to add from data. And you've got smart content, my favorite thing. Now, I'll have smart content in 2 slides. In the meantime, let's just go to the square meter bit and see how, if we apply data, so we apply the second core element, how that works, helps. So if you have data and you can curate an experience, help them save time, it creates better sales leads. Because rather than you having 100 conversations with 90 irrelevant people, you can have 10 conversations with very relevant people. You can do better networking, because rather than me spending 2 hours looking for people that I want to connect to, you would give me 20 that I would like to connect. You have better brand visibility, because you put your brand based on data in front of the correct people. And we can go on and on and on this. So we've got 2 points now, the square meter and data. And if we go forward, first of all, I wanted to explain what I see in smart visual content. So first of all, smart visual content has to be interactive. I'm talking mainly about videos, but if you know me, I can tell you how to make money out of photos. I've done this for about a lifetime, so I'm quite good at it. Interactive means that at this show, approximately 175 hours of content are going to be produced. If I give anybody here 175 hours and they're going to watch it, I'm scared. So but you need to make it searchable, which is what unselfish plugin we do at Oct, what Clipper does, and you can see them there. You need to make it legacy content, so you need to make it interactive in terms of comment, search, share, everything from that perspective. And that when it becomes smart. It needs to be curated. So it's not just me going into the database and starting to search something, it's an AI, hopefully not somebody in an office, understanding what you want and sending video that is relevant to you. Video is a conversation. Is, Abby, do you like that video? No. Okay, do you like this video? Yes. Okay, so you're interested in this. Let me show you that. So it's always that conversation that you have to have. But it has to be curated. It's not about, do you like buildings? No. Do you like palaces? Do you want to buy an apartment? Do you want to anything? You are desperately needing a loo. That's the most relevant building that you need when you need to pee. And it also needs to be measurable. At this point, one of my favorite subjects for 2 years was what is the lifespan of visual content. Technically speaking, a photo online has 2 seconds on average. That's the lifespan of a photo online, 2 seconds. That's it. Kim Kardashian's has 1 hour. My photo with my dog has about 0.001 seconds. So, but you go to 2 seconds. The challenge there is not the 2 seconds, but is the inability to measure that content. What we measure now, so what we do with firstsight media when we produce content, you have 198 peak viewers. So what? Who interacted with what? What is in that video? What have you watched? Which bit did you ask the question? Where did you search? Where did you actually watch and engage with it? We have to understand those. So these 3 elements are the minimum viable product to be a smart visual content. Now, when you talk specifically around smart visual content, you can do, I wanted to go through a few revenue models. I know we have 10 minutes, so we'll go quickly through this and then we'll have some questions and an open conversation. You can do new sponsorship packages, because if you go and talk to us on that stand, I'll show you that you can create dynamic playlists that can be sponsored based on who you are. You can do sponsorship packages outside the event, because now the live event is sponsored by Jose at Eventscase. So Eventscase is everywhere. But that's not a lifetime contract, whereas me speaking here and giving you the secret to life is going to last for another 20 years, but that can be sponsored by Exposure Analytics, for example, or Dahlia, on time, or even in the same time, depending who is watching it. You can have pay as you go. So rather than buying a ticket to Eventtech Live, although you can see the content for free, let's say Money 2020, where you have 350 speakers and paying, I don't know, $2,000 for a ticket, like a nice VIP ticket. I want to see Abby talking at you. That's all I want to do. I want to pay 20 quid, 50 quid, 100 quid, 1 million, it doesn't matter. I just want to see Abby. It's not a bidding, I'm just going up. You can do subscription services, because I don't know if you've heard, there is a small company in the US called Netflix. They're making subscription work. You should Google that. It's amazing what they're doing on subscription. Data, because we talked about data. Video is the best behavioral pool in the data in the world. Sorry, your colleague said that I have 10 minutes and I panicked. So behavioral insights, again, measure that, because when you give your time to see 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or half an hour of a video, that is more relevant than any form in the world and any question you would ask in a form. Dynamic ads, you can play ads depending on who is watching, what is watching, and how is watching. Asynchronous video, and I'll spend 30 seconds on this. Asynchronous video is a very nice term I've never seen anybody use to make money in events so far. I haven't seen anybody do that in events. Is basically, I'm talking here. I might be relevant, I might be an influencer. But every one of you have an idea. So after this talk, we can do a roundtable that you pick up, sponsored, for example, by Exposure Analytics, because they are just behind us, or EWD is even better. Sponsored by EWD, where you get 5 other individuals that are very relevant to the conversation, and you create another piece of content. And based on that, you can do more and more ripples like that, which is very fun. So, because 10 minutes, 6 degrees of smart revenue. We go back to our thing. So just for the fun of it, the next slide is basically working examples. So we can go, because of time, to working examples. If you have any ideas of shows that you want to talk about, so if you have a show, we can go through this and just pick up some things. If not, I can tell you kind of what we've done with other shows. So the idea would be that when you put all three of those and you keep it at the core of what you do, you can make way better ticket sales, for example. So if you have smart content, that means that, and data, that means that you know your audience, you know how to target your audience, you know exactly how many seconds, how long clips look like. So Abby engages with 30-second clip, Magic over there engages with half an hour. So I'll target a nice clip of half an hour to Magic, 5 minutes to Abby, engagement increases, the likelihood of you selling tickets goes off the roof. And you put 2 of them. Sponsorship opportunities, we just went through that in terms of what you can sponsor, lengths of everything and so on. Networking, the same thing. The data you get from smart content and what you engage with gives you way better insights of what you want. That means that you go into the data bit and you store that data and you give better networking recommendations and you save time. And I can go on and on and on. I haven't done the arrows because I didn't understand anything after I done the arrows, so I deleted them. So because we have 5 minutes, do you guys have a question? First of all, do you have any questions? Or if you have a show that you want to talk about, we can talk about that. So the question was, just for everybody else, was if networking would be done online, visual content would be done online and everything, and networking would be done physical. No, for 2 reasons. One, because I really like when I see my friends stressed on stage. I know I'm stressed, so I would like everybody to feel that. Second, it's a different attitude of talking. So it's the behavior and the way we look at content, and that's a very long story, and the way we perceive content and the way we speak live is different. That doesn't mean that you have to limit it to live or to digital. So if you have somebody, a speaker in US, and you cannot bring it here, bring it digital, because he has something to say about it. So don't limit yourself in terms of thinking from that perspective. And you can do networking online. We've done it for about a year, but not as effective as a handshake, for example, from that perspective. Any other questions? 2 examples then from me, and I'll let you go. So what we've done with content, for smart content, just to give you an idea. Royal Aeronautical Society, we worked with them for about a year last year, and one of the events they had was more scientific, and they wanted to do about a 4-day conference of 8 hours each day where people had to come and present everything, which is madness from my perspective as an approach, because nobody's going to watch 4 days of content. So what we did, we picked up the keynotes and we put them in a day, so that was the key element of the live event. And we pre-recorded all the scientific presentations. We had, back then, even before Swapcard and everybody else, we had a nice ticketing system where we knew what everybody was doing and what tickets they had and what they're watching. And 2 weeks before the event, we created a page with all the content, with chats near all the content, with live time in a room for the speakers. And so for those 2 weeks, everybody could interact with that content, and they did interact quite successfully. And from the data there, we can curate nice emails, and then they live, in terms of getting them to the live event, and everything was quite nice from that perspective. And the other one, which is more B2B in terms of larger conferences, I cannot say names because we have a contract, but a very, very large conference, a few thousand people in Europe, specifically very, very focused conference. They used to do buyer's guides around the conference, so they can, look, this is an innovation, you have to talk to these people. So literally dragging people around and showing them, increasing engagement at exhibitors. Because they couldn't do this physically because of laws that you have to be 2 meters apart, and you couldn't have like a conga line for the whole conference. We went and picked up all the stands that had innovations in them, pre-recorded them, created about 90 pieces of content, one half an hour long, and then we went down 3 minutes, 1 minute, everything else. Pushed that towards the buyers. They interacted each how they wanted to interact. Based on those interactions, you can curate conversations at the live show, because we had that 2-3 weeks before. And that helped with smart content, give us better data, better networking, and hopefully more sales for the guys at the stand. That's me.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Bogdan. Where can people go to find out more about this?
I forgot about the important selfless plug. So if you want, we can talk later. You can go to the stand, you can go online, you can find us on amp.digital. We have 2 products, one that does registration and better data, surprising about the talk. The other is Opt, which does video content curation. They work amazing together. Come and talk to us. Or on the one with the beard, misspelled because there are too many letters, not because I don't know how to spell. Twig.io for Twigged, and amp.digital on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and everywhere else.
That's brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Okay, huge round of applause for Bogdan, please. Woohoo!